last night the White
I
House
don't
put out
know.
the White House put out the president's schedule, and it showed his field trip to the Fed. Here is how our close personal friends at CNBC's Squawk Box are framing the visit.
On the White House saying President Trump is going to be visiting the Federal Reserve this afternoon. It would be the first time in almost 2 decades that an American president takes an official trip to the U.S. Central Bank. Trump, of course, has blasted Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not lowering rates. He's also criticized the Fed for an over-budget renovation project, and you know the builder in him is going to be itemizing things as he walks through that building later this afternoon.
All right, so this notion of the builder in him, I covered Donald Trump doing a lot of stuff. Haven't spent as much time with him as Sean has, but in 2016, in March, shortly after he became the de facto Republican nominee, he did an event in Washington at the Trump International Hotel near the White House that was still under construction. And I just positioned myself. So I basically walked side by side with him as he walked around the building. Here's some pictures from that. President pointing out various things. And Andrew Sorkin's exactly right. He's a construction guy. He's been to many construction sites, walking around, looking at stuff. And I bet he does that today. I bet he's poking around and talking about cost overruns, et cetera. Dan, Scott Bessent pretty much made it clear the president's not going to fire him, but he does want to discombobulate him. He does want to make it untenable for him to stay in the job, I believe. What do you think the status is of President Trump and company's joint group organized effort to force the Fed chairman out?
I think Powell's not going to go anywhere, and I think they're just going to keep hitting the piñata as hard and as often as they see fit.
Sean.
First of all, I'm surprised I can't see. That was the first time I ever really traveled with Trump. That visit, which I will tell you, I walked room by room with him. And to your point, like he down to the smallest detail.
Exactly.
Fix that. Why is that mirror there? I thought we talked. Yeah. I mean, that was the first time I traveled with him in the bubble. Like, and we actually went to New York later that afternoon. But like, the level of detail that he cares about, and I feel bad for the sucker that's subsequently in several clubs with him, but whoever is with him today, man.
And I'll just say, people often say he's a great TV producer because he is. He's the best television producer ever elected president. But the similarity between being a great TV producer and being a builder, it's the same thing. His attention to detail, but also his understanding of how things look, how people will experience things. It's quite something. All right.
Can I ask, does anyone think Jerome Powell plays a similar role in the renovation of the Fed?
No.
Well, he's the buck stops with him, though.
Of course, it has nothing to do with it. It's just so absurd.
But the buck stops with him.
Right. You're the CEO.
I could build the Taj Mahal for $2 billion. Sean,
where
does?
By the way, can I tell you one quick side note that's funny about that day? We had in 1999 and 2000 as part of an organization, a bunch of people that Dan may even know about this, called the ATN Society. We used to throw a New Year's fundraiser, moved it from year to year. Well, the couple at 99, 2000, we rented out the old post office. It was disgusting at the time. We had the event, leading up to midnight in the food court. And so Trump, we all stop at the stairs that go down to the hotel, and I'm explaining to him how we rented this place out for like 10 grand, covered up the Chinese food places. He was so disgusted. I was like, I literally was like, oh, I just dug myself into the biggest hole because I'm describing how this place used to look. And obviously he was not exactly pleased to hear about this. So it was I learned that I put my foot in my mouth real early with him and learned to shut up. Look, I think that this isn't even whatever a step higher than a warning shot. If you're Powell, and by the way, I'll be interested to see, does Powell try to position himself like he greets him like a normal official?
Totally.
Is Powell there? Do we think
we don't
he's
know?
there?
We don't know.
Well, he's got to. I mean, I guess you kind of, somebody's got to be there. I mean, it's the president.
He might have a dentist appointment at 4.
Well, anyway, I mean, look, this is the biggest shot across the bow because he knows they have to make this case for cause. And this is this is like, hey, dude, I'm upping the stakes like you've never seen before. And if Powell, he's playing this game where he's saying, you might want to push back on me and say that I can't, but I can. And I'm going to itemize all of your.
So we don't know the logistics of this, right? It wasn't publicly announced till last night. But I wonder, like, if you're over there in the Fed and you're a Powell person, are you like taking like the marble candlesticks and like shoving them into a bag. You know what I mean? Like if they
Yeah.
find problems, that's good for Powell, because it means, well, there's asbestos that's going to cost a lot of money. But if they find like opulent things, it's going to be bad for Powell.
Hold on, but we have to go back. I mean, just because we're actually taking this seriously here, the way federal renovations work is there is a department whose job it is to oversee federal renovations. These buildings are old, right? The idea that Jerome Powell, who runs the Federal Reserve, is sitting around and saying, "No, I want silver, not gold. I want this toilet seat. Wait, can I get
Dan, you're right on the merits, but this isn't about the merits. They're using this whole thing to try to force the guy out.
It's the absurdity of Trump. It is just the smoke screen,
everything. But if Trump is able to, with the cameras rolling, if he's able to say, "Look at this marble staircase,"
nobody cares. Nobody have the balls and fire him. Have the balls. You look like a whiny little you-know-what. You're sitting there like, you overrun. I would fire you, but the lawyers tell me I can't do it. Have some balls.
No. Quite the opposite. The lawyer said this is the only way you can.
Then go do it.
Let's taunt him.
Then go do it.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button. Be part of the Two-Way community. Never miss a clip. And you can always watch our full episodes. Join them live. Go to twoway.tv.